Look, I don't know if you'll like hearing this, but it needs to be said. There's a reason why toxic people always find you. And no, it's not bad luck. It's not a coincidence. It's not because the universe is conspiring against you. The truth is much harsher and much more liberating than that. You're sending signals, invisible but blatant signals that tell these people, here, I'm perfect for you to drain, manipulate, use. And the worst part, you don't even realize you're doing it. Have you ever stopped to think about why it's always you? Why does that coworker that nobody can stand always come to you to vent their problems? Why did that friend who only calls when they need something choose you to be their emotional bank? Why in relationships do you always end up with someone who devalues you, who makes you feel small, who uses you? There's a pattern there. And if there's a pattern, there's a cause. I spent years of my life in that cycle. I attracted people who drained me, energetically, emotionally, even financially. And I kept wondering, man, why does this always happen to me? I'm a good person. I try to help. I care. Why do people take advantage of that? And I blamed them. I thought the problem was only theirs, that I was surrounded by bad people and that I needed luck to find good people. Until one day, after yet another destructive relationship, another friendship that left me exhausted, I had an insight that changed everything. The problem wasn't just other people, the problem was me. Not because I was bad or weak, but because I had behavioral patterns that basically put a giant target on my back that read, easy to manipulate, come closer. And when I understood that, when I truly accepted my part in it, it was like someone had turned on a light. Suddenly I could clearly see the mistakes I was making, the signals I was sending, and more importantly, I could see exactly what needed to change. So today, I'm going to show you the main mistake you're probably making, the mistake that makes you a magnet for toxic people, and I'm going to teach you exactly how to fix it. Because when you understand this, when you stop sending those signals, something magical happens. Toxic people simply stop choosing you. They start avoiding you. Because you're no longer easy prey. You no longer serve their purposes. And genuine people, people of value, those start to appear naturally in your life. The mistake is this: you have no boundaries. Or worse, you have boundaries but you don't maintain them. You say yes when you should say no. You tolerate behaviors that hurt you because you're afraid of conflict, afraid of rejection, afraid of being seen as selfish or difficult. You constantly sacrifice yourself, hoping that people will reciprocate, that they will appreciate it, that they will realize how much you give. But they don't realize it. They just take more, because you taught them that they can. Let me explain how this works in practice. Toxic people have a radar for identifying those who don't have firm boundaries. They test. They always test. They might ask for a small favor at first. They might make a slightly disrespectful comment disguised as a joke. They might subtly invade your space, your time, your decisions. And they're watching. How do you react? Do you set a clear boundary or do you let it go? If you let it slide, if you nervously laugh at an offensive joke, if you accept a favor even when you don't want to, if you say nothing when you should have asked permission, you've just failed the test. And do you know what that communicates? It communicates that you are open territory, that your boundaries are loose, that they can push and you will give in. And from there they push harder and harder and harder until you are completely drained, manipulated, used. And the worst part is that you probably think you're being a good person by not creating conflict, by being flexible, by putting the needs of others before your own. But man, that's not kindness. That's a lack of self-respect. Because when you don't defend your own boundaries, when you let people treat you however they want, you're telling them and yourself that you're not worth protecting, that your needs don't matter, that you exist to serve others. And toxic people love that. They love people without boundaries because they're easy to control. They're predictable. You'll always give in. You'll always give them another chance. You'll always excuse their behavior. You'll always be available. They're the perfect target. Now pay attention, because I'm going to show you the specific signals you're sending that attract these people. The first sign is excessive availability. You always respond to messages immediately. You're always available when someone needs you. You always cancel your own plans to accommodate others. And this seems like altruism, but in reality, it's communicating that your time has no value, that you have nothing more important to do, that you're always waiting to be useful to someone. A toxic person sees this and thinks, "Perfect. Here's someone I can interrupt whenever I want, who will always prioritize my needs, who will be there to serve me." And they use this mercilessly. They call you in the middle of the night with drama. They call you in the middle of your work to vent. They ask you for absurd favors without even considering if it's convenient for you, because you taught them that you are always available. The second sign is accepting disguised disrespect. Someone makes a mean comment about you but adds just a joke at the end. Someone constantly interrupts you. Someone belittles your opinions. Someone invades your privacy, and you say nothing. You swallow it. Maybe you feel that sharp pain in your chest, that burning sensation rising up your neck, that tightness in your throat that comes when you are disrespected but don't defend yourself. But you take a deep breath and let it pass. And every time you do that, you're lowering the standard of how people can treat you. You're saying, it's okay to treat me like this. You can continue, and they escalate. Because if you accept small acts of disrespect without reacting, you'll probably accept bigger acts of disrespect too. The third sign is the search for external validation. You recount good things that happened, hoping people will get excited for you. You ask for opinions on decisions you should already be making on your own. You change your behavior based on the approval or disapproval of others. You over-explain yourself, constantly justifying yourself, as if you need permission to exist the way you are. A toxic person identifies this instantly and uses it as a tool for control. They give you validation when you do what they want and withdraw it when you don't. They know you're dependent on this approval, so they manipulate it to keep you in line. And you get trapped in this cycle of trying to please them, of seeking their approval, even when the cost is your own dignity. The fourth sign is fear of saying no. How many times have you agreed to do something you didn't really want to do because you were afraid to say no? You were afraid the person would get angry, judge you, reject you. So you say yes, even feeling that weight in your stomach, that tension in your shoulders, that anticipatory tiredness, just thinking about doing it. And that's a feast for a toxic person, because they can ask for anything and you'll accept. They can overwhelm you, use you, exploit you, and you'll let them because you're more afraid of saying no than of being exploited. They know this, and they use you without remorse. The fifth sign is tolerance for inconsistency. The person treats you well one day and badly the next. They value you one moment and ignore you the next. They make promises and don't keep them. They say one thing and do another, and you tolerate this emotional roller coaster. You make excuses for the person. Oh, they're stressed. Oh, they have problems. Oh, I know deep down they care. You remain stuck in the hope that the good version of them will come back and stay. But this inconsistency is intentional. It's a manipulation technique. They call it intermittent reinforcement. It works like a slot machine. You get addicted to those occasional moments of good treatment, so you endure all the bad treatment waiting for the next good moment. And the more you tolerate it, the more the toxic person knows they can treat you badly because you'll always come back. Now, I know this is hard. I know part of you is resisting, thinking, but I'm just trying to be a good person. I'm just trying to help. The problem is them, not me. And look, I understand. I thought the same thing for years. But here's the truth you need to accept. Being a good person doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. Helping doesn't mean sacrificing yourself until there's nothing left of you. The problem isn't just theirs, it's yours too, because you're allowing it. And that's actually the best news you could receive. Because if the problem were only other people, you would be a victim of circumstances, powerless to change anything. But if part of the problem is you, if you are contributing to this dynamic, then you have the power to change. You can stop sending those signals. You can start setting real boundaries. You can become someone toxic people avoid, instead of seeking out. So how do you do that? How do you correct that mistake? I'm going to give you the specific actions and practices that have completely changed the type of people I attract into my life. First, learn to say no without explaining yourself. When someone asks you for something and you don't want to do it, you say no. Simple as that. No need for paragraphs of justification. No need for elaborate excuses. I can't, I don't want to, I'm not going to do it. These are complete sentences, and when you do that, the person may react badly. They may get angry, they may pressure you, they may make you feel guilty. And here's the test. Do you stick to the no, or do you give in? If you give in, you've just taught her that your word has no value, that if she pressures you enough, you always give in, that your boundaries are negotiable. But if you stand by your no, calmly, firmly, without endlessly justifying yourself, you've just communicated something completely different. You've communicated that you respect yourself, that your decisions aren't democratic, that you're not controlled by external approval. And toxic people hate that. They'll look for an easier target. Second, establish clear consequences for bad behavior. If someone disrespects you, you don't let it go. You name the behavior. You say, when you do such a thing, it disrespects me. I don't accept being treated like this. If it continues, I will distance myself. And then, and this is crucial, if it continues, you actually distance yourself. You apply the consequence you stated. Because boundaries without consequences are just suggestions. They're empty. If you say you won't tolerate something but continue to tolerate it, your words mean nothing. The person learns they can disrespect you without real cost. But when you consistently apply consequences, when you actually walk away from people who treat you badly, you're setting a standard. You're saying, this is how I allow myself to be treated. Anything below this, and I'm leaving. Third, create intentional scarcity. Stop always being available. Don't respond to messages immediately just because you receive them. Don't cancel your plans every time someone asks. Have your own goals, your own interests, your own life that doesn't revolve around serving others. And when someone asks for your time, you genuinely evaluate whether you want to give it or not. If you don't want to, you say no. This does two things. First, it makes your time and attention valuable. When you're not always available, people learn that your time is precious, that it has to be earned, that you have other priorities. Second, it filters out toxic people, because they want someone always available to drain them. If you're not always available, you don't serve their purposes. They'll look for someone else. Fourth, stop seeking validation. Make your own decisions without needing approval. Become comfortable with the possibility that people may not like you. Understand that being respected is more important than being loved by everyone. When you stop needing external validation, you become uncontrollable. Because the main tool that toxic people use, approving or disapproving of you to control your behavior, simply no longer works. Fifth, and this is perhaps the most important, develop genuine self-respect. Because all these behaviors, boundaries, saying no, applying consequences, all of this needs to come from a real place of believing that you deserve to be treated well. If deep down you don't believe you deserve respect, you will always give in, always accept less, always allow it. So work on becoming someone you respect yourself. Do things that build real self-esteem. Keep the promises you make to yourself. Take care of your body, your mind, your goals. Set high standards for yourself and honor them. When you genuinely respect yourself, defending your boundaries isn't an effort. It's natural. It's automatic, because you simply don't accept anything below the standard you've set for your life. Now let me tell you what happens when you implement this. At first it will be uncomfortable. People who were used to using you will resist. They will accuse you of having changed, of being selfish, of no longer being the nice person you used to be. And part of you will want to go back to the old patterns to avoid this conflict. But you can't. You maintain your boundaries. And then something interesting happens. The toxic people start to drift away. Naturally. Because you're no longer useful. You're no longer easy prey. You no longer give them what they're looking for. And yes, maybe you'll lose some people in the process, but these weren't people who added value to your life in any way. They were people who drained you, used you, made you feel small. And in the space they leave, different people begin to appear. People who respect boundaries because they also have boundaries. People who value reciprocal exchange instead of just taking advantage. People who treat you well not because you're begging for it, but because that's how they treat people they respect. And you attract these people because now you communicate differently. Your signals have changed. You're no longer saying, "I'm easy prey." You're saying, "I respect myself and expect the same." Let's be clear about one thing. Setting boundaries doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you selfish. It doesn't make you inflexible. It makes you someone who respects themselves. Someone who understands that you can't take care of anyone if you're completely drained. Someone who knows that healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, not one-sided sacrifice. So here's the challenge for you. Identify one person in your life who is draining you, using you, constantly crossing your boundaries. Just one. And decide what boundary you need to set with that person. It could be saying no the next time they ask for something unreasonable. It could be confronting the next disrespectful comment. It could be creating distance, stopping being always available. Choose a specific boundary, and then you honor it. It doesn't matter how the person reacts. It doesn't matter if they get angry, if they pressure you, if they try to make you feel guilty. You maintain the boundary, because that's your line. That's where you've decided your self-respect begins, and you don't negotiate that. Do this with one person. See what happens. Notice how you feel when you finally stand up for yourself, and then do it with another person, and another. Until having firm boundaries is as natural as breathing. If this video resonated with you, if you're noticing patterns you've been repeating, leave a like. Subscribe to the channel because every week I bring content like this, real knowledge about psychology, about relationships, about how to stop being a victim and take control of your life. And comment below telling me what boundaries you're going to set. I read them all. Remember, you don't attract toxic people because you're unlucky. You attract them because you're sending the wrong signals. But now you know what those signals are and how to change them. The rest is up to you. Go ahead and apply it. See you next time.